Hey guys, welcome back to another team fight targeting guide. Today we'll be covering the tanks in the game. Now, tanks are somewhat similar to melees and bruisers in the sense that rather than just trying to hit people as much as you can like a ranged assassin would, you really want to be prioritizing your own positioning and you really want to be able to make sure that you're hitting the correct person on the other team with your spells, with your CC. It is very important because as the tank, you are the one that is going to be creating the engage, and you want to make sure you're creating that engage onto the right target. So, who is the right target? Well, we're going to be talking about that in the rest of this guide. So, starting off, I have a basic ETC example to show you guys. So, we're just checking a watchtower. You guys know how it is. Level 1 watchtower happens at pretty much every other game here. So, right away, a Diablo enters into our range, right? Now, I don't see anyone else on their team, but I can assume that they're probably all right behind him. So Diablo, very often here, not the greatest choice to slide because one, he's the tank, he's pretty tanky, he's probably not gonna die, and two, my team is not all here. You can see the Brightwing and the Rexar are lagging behind on the minimap. So even if I slide him here, the only people that can hit him are my Alarak and my Li Ming, whereas the other two will not hit him at all. So if the other two were already at this top watchtower, you could argue that sliding this guy could be okay because almost certainly he would be taking more damage than you would be if your whole team was here. But since my whole team isn't here, then this is really not a good target to go on. So you'll notice I'm holding my slide and I'm backing up because I want to see where the rest of their team is. Now we get some posturing, we get a little bit of posturing. And we have Brightwing polymorphing a Genji, which is a pretty good polymorph. However, the Alarak tries to combo the Diablo at the same time. So now I know we no longer have Alarak combo or Leeming spells because she just used them, right? So do I slide this Genji? Well, I could, but once again, I know we have no more CC and no more damage. So if I slide this Genji and he does not die by the end of my slide, which is only about a second stun, second long stun, if he's not dead by the end of that 1 second, he's got his E up, he can just E away. Very easy for him to get away, right? So that, while it might look like a juicier target, and it is, than the Diablo, given the circumstances here, is still not a guaranteed kill. Still not that great of a target. So once again, I'm holding my ability. I'm contemplating sliding Genji if my team gets closer here, but I'm also holding my slide because by holding it, I open up more options, right? So as the fight continues here, we're opening more options, and I see the Stukov stick his arm into the ground to do the E on the Alarak. And at that point, I am no longer holding my slide because to me, that is the juiciest option. Now, at this point, I still only see three of them, so the closest their teammates could be is in the fog of war vents, either here or under, which is not super close. And I know my whole team has arrived. Now we have the Brightwing here. Now we have the Rexar here, the Misha shortly in tow, and the Stukov just self-rooted himself. So to me, that is by far the best target in this opening brawl. Not only is he self-stunning himself, but also he does not have a dash like Genji, and he is not the tank and very tanky like Diablo, right? So to me, that is the best target. I slide him, I boop him into my team, and my team quickly realizes that they should be focusing him, and we end up getting this kill. So that's a pretty simple example, but let's look at it again. Ask yourselves, right? How many of you guys would just immediately slide this Diablo? Maybe you get a good trade, but you wouldn't get the kill. How many of you guys would just immediately slide the Genji? Maybe you'd get a lot of damage, but very unlikely you'd get the kill, right? So, looks simple, but stuff like this actually has a lot of finesse to it. So, I'll play this back one more time so you can see the whole thing and just think about everything that I said the whole time and ask yourselves if you were the ETC, what would you be thinking right here? Would you be thinking anything? Would you just be thinking press Q on the first red dot that you see? And if so, you might want to keep everything I said in mind a little bit. try to keep what I said in mind next time you're playing tanks. So we'll just play this again one more time here. You'll notice how long I'm holding my slide. At 10 seconds, I could already have slid, but I didn't slide until 16 seconds because the whole time I'm looking for the best possible target, and in my mind, the other two were not good enough targets, like I explained. All right, moving on to the next example here. We got a pretty long one here, and this one kind of features both peeling and the normal offensive targeting for kills. So we're actually starting here with peeling, right? Because that is something a tank has to do every now and then. Sometimes your team is clearly in trouble, and the best thing you can do is try to help your team. So in that case, how do you target in order to maximum, in order to get the maximum results for your team? Well, in this case, we can see an example of that. This is Johanna, right? I'm playing Johanna. Enemy team has, I believe, 4 people sieging our bottom fort here. Zuljin's trying to stop them. And of course, the Zuljin gets gorged, which means my Zuljin is now in trouble, right? So from the second that he's scorched right here, I know he's in trouble. I know I have to peel for him. So how do I target in this scenario? Well, first, I'm going to, of course, put myself into harm's way because I am much tankier than a Zul'jin. I need to try to make them focus me instead of him, right? So right away, I'm going to be walking into their team here. Um, and you can see I'm trying to just kind of try to disrupt them as much as possible. It's a 2 versus 4, so we're not very likely going to get kills or anything. So my goal here is not target for kills, but rather target for maximum amount of disruption. So I'm just trying to condemn as much people as possible. You can see the Vala dodges downward, gets away from my condemn, but in doing so, it puts him farther away from the Zul'jin as well, right? I'm trying to position myself in a way where I can kind of zone everyone away from Zul'jin as much as possible. I get W'd away by the hammer because the hammer knows that their kill target is the Zul'jin here, right? So he's trying to stop me from peeling for my Zul'jin. So now in my new position, well, there's a couple things I could do, right? I could either blind or I could blast shield. The Zul'jin is tossed in the middle of all 4 people. It's not looking good for him. I know I got to do something quick, so I just immediately shield, and I prioritize shielding the Vala, which is the highest source of damage onto the Zul'jin. At the very least, I want to make sure he has time to use his ult, if nothing else. And the shield bounces on to 3 of them, and we immediately go for the blind there as well, which I believe we blinded all 4 of them there because they were in a line. So you can already see this is already very successful targeting, right? Zul'jin is somehow running out of all 4 people despite the fact that he was dropped in the middle of all 4 under Gorge. So this is kind of what you want to do. Obviously, a lot of this is unique to the hero you're playing. If I was playing a different hero, there would be slightly different ways I could be peeling, right? If I didn't have blind, obviously I wouldn't be able to do this blind, but you get the idea. We're getting into the middle of action. We're trying to disrupt the enemy team as much as possible. We're trying to make them focus us, and once they knock us away from battle, we see an angle for a 4-man blind, and we also have our blessed shield up. So of course we're going to do everything we can here to take both of those opportunities in order to peel for the Zul'jin. Now he's still in trouble though. There's still 3 people on him, right? So it's not done yet. So of course here we have a choice, right? And here, I know that the hammer cannot hit my Zul'jin anymore. He's a sieged hammer with hover siege. He's moving very slowly. So I know that the danger to this Zul'jin is these remaining 3 that are chasing him, right? So we can, with remaining blind, the correct targeting here is to definitely target the immediate threat, which are these 3 heroes. So once again, we blind all 3 that are chasing Zul'jin while ignoring the hammer, if you're not thinking too much about it, you might think, blind hammer, always good, right? And most of the time it's good, but in this specific circumstance, if you target hammer with that second blind, it would be a bad targeting decision. So another blind lets Zul'jin, save a lot of HP, and he actually manages to pop Toss Dingo, get a kill, and get out. So that's kind of shows you the importance of defensive targeting, of peeling. all of your abilities matter, whether offense or defense. This is definitely a situation where you could say he's pretty doomed. It's 2 versus 4. He gets dropped into the middle of 4 people, right? In most cases, even with Toss and Go, this Zul'jin is for sure dead. But with our proper targeting of all of our abilities here, not only did he live, but we also got a kill in a 2 versus 4. And the rest of their team is in a terrible position here, right? So after the Vala is dead, now we move on to the normal offensive targeting. There's 3 heroes running away, and now they're overextended because it took them too long to try to kill that Zul'jin. The rest of our team has arrived. Now what do we do, right? Of course, now we try to kill them, and the Stitches is pretty clearly the target here. Hammer already used his Z, zooming away at the speed of light. The Rhaegar also in wolf form. Both of them have move speed boosts. Both of them are not locked down, and we don't have any stuns left. So the targeting here, of course, is we go for the Stitches, and that is exactly what I do. And although I have no stuns left, I still am in front of him, so I go for, the stun that every character could potentially do, the body block. So you see, I try to body block him as much as possible here to slow him down as much as possible. So we're still targeting him. And now the rest of his team has reset and they're peeling for this Stitches. And the Rhaegar bites in, he ancestrals the Stitches. So now the situation changed again, right? Stitches got bailed out. He went to 1 HP, got ancestraled. Rhaegar bites in. Now Rhaegar is closer to our team, and we should once again change our targeting because the circumstances have changed. And now we should all be trying to hit Rhaegar, right? Because he's closest to our team. And this probably looks pretty simple, because I'm freeze framing everything for you guys. But keep in mind, all of this happens within 1 second of each other. So to do this in a real game is far more difficult. But in order to start doing it in your games, you have to understand the concept behind it. So watching this video is the first step to doing this in your games, and then you can try to practice it and apply it in real time, which will be much harder because you have to think a lot faster in that circumstance. So Rhaegar should be the target here. So you can see we're hitting Rhaegar. Can't do much about it though, right? None of us have CC. Junkrat's hitting him with whatever he has. And now the circumstance changed again. Now, Tyrande went for a stun. It looks like he was trying to stun both of them, but it only landed on one person. So since it only landed on one person, well, the Rhaegar looks like he's going to get out again. But since we now know that the hammer is going to be stunned for a little bit and they're about the same HP, now the best target to hit is this hammer. So we should once again swap targets. Now the hammer should be your main focus on this situation. So you can see everyone's hitting hammer and he gets hooked out at the last second. Pretty well played by both teams here, honestly. Not done though. We keep chasing. We notice he's greedy backing, so we're kind of like forcing him to cancel his back multiple times, slowing down their rotate here, right? Getting the fort while we're at it. And even though everyone got out there, you can kind of see the idea behind both the defensive targeting, the peeling, and what you should be doing, and the offensive targeting. Uh, you know, so I think that was a pretty good example. Moving on to the next one. We have a Meriden example here, and I'm trying to show you guys like as many of the tanks as I can because every tank, like I said, is slightly different depending on the kit that you have. The way you can target is a little bit different, right? For example, since Meriden has a dash, a jump, you can target backline a little bit more easy, a little easier than someone without a dash or a jump. So let's look at this Meriden clip a little bit here. All right, so we're rolling in, we're rolling in. It's a level 11 to level 10. Everyone's alive. Pretty even fight so far. And we see right away, right, that our Hogger got slid and no one's really near him. So here, even though the Rhaegar is right next to me, I know my Stukov is really far away, and I know my Hanzo is really far away too. So I don't go for this Rhaegar, although you could argue that going for this Rhaegar is okay too. In my mind, I'm worried that if I go for this Rhaegar, the Hogger will die before the Rhaegar because my team seems a little bit more far away, right? So here, at first, we go for the peeling. So I just jump into, once again, I'm going for maximum disruption. You can see this just like the Johanna game. I know I'm not in danger because they're focusing one of my teammates and they are using everything else on my teammate, right? So I know they have no ETC slide because they already used it on Hogger. Therefore, I know I'm not in danger. So I just position myself. I just literally run into the entire enemy team uh, to try to cause them to, aggro me. I'm trying to be intimidating. I'm trying to be threatening to try to scare them off of going onto this Hogger. Just like in the Johanna game, we're trying to distract them. We throw a stun here just to kind of, make sure that they're peeled. And we don't want to take too much damage ourselves either. So we have successfully peeled for Hogger at this point. And now this Hogger ultimates. Now, the idea of this ultimate is he saw me stun two people and he wants to chain stun the two people that I stunned. And there's a clump here, right? So I understand the idea that this Hogger had. However, this is an example of kind of suboptimal targeting because number one, Hogger's stun only lasts like 0.75 seconds or something really short when you're casting it this far. It only stuns for a long time, like directly in front of him. And number two, my stun has already worn out, and it's not really like that great. We're right next to their immortal. Our positioning here is not great. So this is an example of kind of poor targeting choice here. Even though you can understand what this Hogger was thinking, even though this Hogger is probably like master GM, that was kind of a poor targeting decision because he failed to keep the rest of the battlefield in his perspective, right? So he ulted, he's spinning in there, no one else is going, everyone else knows that that doesn't look good. We're too close to the Immortal, we're getting flanked by a Blaze, he's already oiled us. Um, so you can see kind of an example there of bad targeting by Hogger. All his ultimate did was lose half of his HP and put our team in honestly a very questionable spot. This is a pretty bad spot for our team. Now, luckily, this fight kind of gets salvaged because Blaze gets shoved and the ETC seems to not have slide or something. He kind of walks into our whole team, tanks way too much damage without sliding, and then Panic slides out. Maybe he just had it. So luckily for us, the situation kind of got salvaged. And now, since that ETC died, we know this is a 5 versus 4, so right? So immediately we're going into the aggressive mentality again. Who do we target to kill and in what order, right? So right away, the first target here I think is obvious for everyone. We just saw the Ancestral fail as well, so we know that Ancestral is on a 10-second cooldown. The Blaze is in the middle of our whole team, half HP. Obvious first target, we go for him right away, right? And this is again something that I do pretty often. I believe it's something I mentioned in the Melee Bruiser video briefly as well. But with tanks, I tend to do this a lot more because you can get away with this a lot more with tanks. I already know that Blaze is dead. The second I put my stun on him, he's half HP. He bunkers. Like I know he's dead. I know the only way he's gonna live is if the rest of his team bails him out, right? So just like in the Melee video, where I was playing Hogger and I ignored the kill target. It's the same concept here. I know he's dead if he gets no help, so I'm just gonna leave him with my team. And I know I am very tanky and I'm not gonna die. And we have a potential to get further kills. So I'm immediately gonna be chasing further kills here, right? Now I would say most tanks here, especially non-grandmaster, they would stay here, right? They would stay here, they would camp this Blaze, and they would make sure he dies. And in this situation, he probably would. But if I'm here, right, and this Blaze dies, that's it. That is the end of the fight. There is no more that we're gonna get, most likely, because the rest of them already ran away. But because I immediately started running with the rest of their team, I'm still right next to them, right? Instead of camping next to the Blaze, I'm already here with my jump up. So that's kind of a example of the knowledge making a big difference. And I'm jumping in with like 35% HP because I know I'm tanky, I have Avatar, and it's a 5 versus 3, right? So I'm not super scared. You can see they try to kill me. I use Avatar last second. My team notices that I'm still fighting. Really good arrow here by the Hanzo. And here, well, I guess we should pause like half a second. So here I'm just kind of trying to stop anyone from getting away. I'm trying to like force them to interact with me because if they interact with me, if they target me, it means they're not running away, which buys time for my team to catch up. So here, both of them get stunned here. And even though the Greymane is lower HP, it's a good idea to always try to focus healer because honestly they're about the same HP because the Vala's already focusing healer. And you'll notice a lot of these guys are GM players, so you'll notice a lot of them have the same targeting idea that I have, right? So instead of stunning this Greymane, we're gonna stun the healer instead because once again, healer is always the one that can usually get people out of trouble. So if you have an opportunity to focus him, it's usually the best opportunity you can get. So since I have the opportunity to stun either one, I'm going to choose to stun the healer, make sure he cannot bail either of them out. And in the end, my team manages to keep chasing and kill the Greymane as well. So instead of just getting one blaze kill there with proper targeting, we end up getting 4 kills. And positioning, I should say. On to the next video here. This is a pretty basic level 1 with Mei here, and I just want to show you once again another Grandmaster game, high Grandmaster game. I just kind of want to point out a situation where, just pay attention to the tanks and you kind of notice that the entire lobby doesn't really hit tanks that much because these guys are all Master Grandmasters, so they're all pretty decent. And everyone kind of knows that hitting tank in this kind of game is like inefficient. It's much more value if you can catch a squishy out of position. So you'll notice even though I'm in range of their whole team and Stitches is pretty much in range of my whole team, no one's really going for the tank because everyone just knows the tank can be saved by the healer. The tank is really tanky. They have a lot of kind of defensive mechanics. So you can see their team's kind of ignoring me. The Maev is going for the backliners. He happened to also get me, but was definitely aiming for the backliners, which is the correct play there, correct targeting for him. And similarly, I'm ignoring the stitches. I don't care about the stitches. I put my W here in order to try to disrupt their backliners. I put my W in a place where it's gonna force all 3 of their backliners to move to get out of it. Um, And in the end, nothing really happens. I'll point out once again here. You can see I'm low HP in the middle of their team, and the Stitches is high HP, but also in the middle of my team and you'll notice that no one is hitting either of us. Their team is hitting Hammer, my team is hitting Maev, and this is because this is the correct way to target, right? So you can kind of see the Grandmasters have a much better idea of who to actually hit, whereas if this was a bronze or a silver or a gold game, much more likely everyone would be just hitting the tanks, and that's less efficient. That would lead to a worse outcome because the tanks can mitigate the damage a lot better. But yeah, in the end, nothing happens. It's basically a draw there. All right, we'll move on to one more example here later on in the game, and I picked this example because it kind of elaborates more on the last example. So just because normally the tank is not the best option, that's not always going to be the case, right? Sometimes you do want to hit the tank, and I'll show you in this example. For example, that their tank gets a little over aggressive, and we can see the rest of their team, right? We have a minion wave here. We see Maev is at their tower, and we don't even see anyone else. So the tank is getting a little over aggressive here, and our team is all pretty close to him, and their team, the closest person that can be here is Maev, who is all the way back at their fort, right? So in this case, we know he's super overextended. So in that case, you do want to hit him, right? If he's the only thing you can hit as a ranged hero, or if the tank is super extended, well, then that is when you should be hitting them. So there, targeting the tank is the proper decision. And of course, this turns into a 4 versus 3, so we immediately try to go for more kills here. Zul'jin, half HP, closest to my team, so we're looking for the Zul'jin here. Actually backing up frame. Like, I already had the medic stunned in my thing no matter what. So here you can see my E was actually pointed at the medic, right? So I was already thinking about going on the healer again if the opportunity presented itself. Because like I said in the last couple examples, right? If the healer is a target, that is usually a good target. However, here he's a little too far away, right? He's not in Hammer's attack range. He's not in Gul'dan's spellcast range. I could get onto him, but I probably couldn't get behind him. So at this point, the way this healer is positioned, it's good enough. We can't really get to him. He's not really a viable target in this scenario, so we go on the Zul'jin instead. Because Zul'jin is in range of all of our team here. So Zul'jin here is the proper targeting decision. We go on him. Can't really kill him. Fight continues. Alright, enemy team thinks they're out, and here I notice the medic is here again. And this is in the engage range of my ice wall, and I know it's still a 4 versus 3 bottom, right? Because we killed Stitches. So right away, I see he steps up, and I go for the ice wall on the medic. So I'm aiming for medic again, because once again, if this ice wall hits him, I can follow up with a W, and my whole team can definitely hit him at that point, right? So that was my targeting decision there. And actually, it ended up missing him and hitting Zul'jin instead. So now, well, originally we were aiming for medic, which is the correct targeting decision. But since my ice wall missed and it hit this guy instead, well, now this is the only guy that we can hit, right? So situation changes, our targeting changes. Now we want to be hitting the Zul'jin instead, which is exactly what we do. So instead of the medic, I drop my full combo onto the Zul'jin. For some reason, the Maiev comes back with like 1 HP, and obviously that is who you should be killing first if he does that. I think he was panic trying to save this guy. So we kill the Maiev, and now Zul'jin's really low, so we kill the Zul'jin as well. And you can kind of get a sense of the targeting throughout the whole sequence of events there. And once again, now we know that this is a 2 versus 4, so they're staggering, right? So we know once again we have overwhelming numbers. And Stitches walks up into my engage range. Of course, we go on him here. And this is a pretty clear-cut situation where Stitches is looking pretty screwed. So you can see both me and Hammer doing the thing that I said before. Just leave the Stitches with the team. We know he's dead at that point. He's like so far into our team, he's dead for sure. The only person that can bail him out is Medic, so we want to focus Medic. So both of us are now focusing Medic. And we can't get Medic, but by focusing him, we make sure he can't help Stitches, and Stitches dies. Alright. So, last example here is kind of more of the same. Honestly, with Stitches, I couldn't really find that many good examples for you guys, because honestly, targeting with Stitches is usually just all about your hook. He's a very unique tank, right? So your targeting with Stitches is most of the time just hook whoever you can hook. That's usually how it is with Stitches. Sometimes that is not the tank though. Sometimes it's actually bad if you hook the tank into your team. But most of the time it's like just hook whoever you can hook, because hooks are not easy to get anyways. So if you have the angle, you just take it, right? So Stitches targeting not that complicated. So I chose a different example for you guys here, which once again demonstrates the point of proper targeting for maximum results here, right? So what would you guys do in this situation? I think a lot of lower league players would be focused on the lower HP heroes and the most overextended heroes, right? But in this situation, once again, we outnumber the other team. You see someone's already dead. We're flanking them. This is a 5 versus 3, right? As far as we can see, it's a 5 versus 3. And Diablo, almost certainly dead for sure. Very unlikely he's going to live. So, so in this case, the proper targeting here, which both the Anduin and I realized, is the Ana. The healer is a fully targetable hero here because he didn't know we were flanking, right? So instead of going for the 1 HP guy, the proper target here is actually the healer with full HP. Uh, because if you get to the healer and he can't heal the others anymore, not only are the others guaranteed dead, but you also get the kill on the healer, right? So Diablo dead, Ana dead there. Definitely don't tunnel on 1 HP Diablo in that situation, which I think a lot of lower league players would. And now Malthael, I already know this Malthael is dead as well. Like, depending on your skill level, you might or might not realize that. But most of the time, a Malthael here within 5 people, he's dead. So instead of focusing on the Malthael, I'm already going on to the next target, which is the Hanzo, right? So I'm
Get
hooking
up
the
there,
Hanzo
son.
before the Malthael is dead. I switched targets, um,
Buddy,
you
what
know,
you doing?
before he's even dead once again. So this is kind of just like more of the same, right? More of the same advanced targeting. You know this guy's dead. Proper target, most would
Buddy,
say
come
Diablo.
on.
It's not. It's actually the Ana. You want the Ana for maximum rewards, right? Kill the Ana. And proper target here, most would say Malthael.
Get over
But
here,
actually,
son.
if you have hook up there, like I did,
Almost feel bad for
it's
these
better for
guys.
me to be hitting the Hanzo because my team will kill
Man,
the
this game
Malthael
was
whether
one of
I
the
hit him or
last
not.
stitches to
And
take.
in that way, we kill their whole team. Whereas if you play the targeting a little differently, you might have only gotten a Diablo kill or maybe like a Diablo and a Malthael kill and missed the other two kills on the Ana and the Hanzo there. All right, so that'll be it for this video. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them on the comments section in this video. If you have any other subjects that you would love to see, you can always leave it on my Q&A post on Patreon, or just leave it in the comments to this video as well, and I'll get back to you guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next guide.